I'm Danny, and today I will be doing the A to Z book tag. I was tagged to do this by Books and Caffeine, and I will link her video in the description below. A is authors you've read the most from, and it's a toss-up between Dorinda Jones and Sarah J Maas. I've read the same amount of books from both of them, but soon I will have read more from Sarah J Maas because her next book is coming out in a few months. Best sequel ever, and I'm going to go with A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas. The first book I really did like, and I did not imagine it could get any better because at that point I had never read a sequel that was better than the original, but I finally found it in A Court of Mist and Fury. C, currently reading. I am currently reading Queen of Shadows by Sarah J Maas. This is just the jacket. The book's actually over there on my bed. D is drink of choice while reading, and while in the summertime it's usually water or soda, in the wintertime it is usually apple cider tea. E, ebook or physical book, and most of the books I do read are physical, though I do also read a whole lot of audiobooks, but I read an ebook every once in a while. F is fictional character you would have dated in high school. I'm going to go with either Edward from the Twilight Saga or Soap from the Finishing School series by Gail Carriger. G is book you glad you gave a chance, and I'm going to go with Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies by Jane Austen and Seth Smith. In some ways I do think that I like the movie better, but in other ways I think I like the book better. But it was definitely something I looked at and I was like, it's probably just a parody of it, probably making fun of all of Jane Austen's work and stuff, but it actually wasn't. It was Pride and Prejudice just with zombies. So instead of when the girls were doing their normal things that they did in Jane Austen books, they were also fighting zombies on the side. H is hidden gem, and I'm going to go with The Receiver of Many by Rachel Alexander. This duology is definitely a hidden gem. If you are into Greek mythology, especially Hades and Persephone retellings or mythology, you definitely have to give this duology a chance. It's fantastic. It's not a retelling in the sense that it has Hades and Persephone themes to it. It is truly a Hades and Persephone story. It's as if Persephone herself was tired of all the myths and she wanted to get her true story out and put her story down on paper. That is exactly what this is. I is important moments in your reading life. For this one, I can't say there are any important moments. Like, there are important books, sure, but important moments, I would have to say that it is the day I first picked up a book. It was summer when I was about 16, and I was bored out of my mind. I didn't want to watch TV. I didn't want to. I think all my friends were busy at the time, and so there was no one to hang out with. So my mom had given me this book earlier in the year, and I was just so bored that summer that I finally decided to just pick up that book and give it a chance. I didn't expect it to make it very far into the book, maybe 3 chapters tops, and then I would have put it down. But I could not put it down once I picked it up. It was, I don't remember about where it became so thrilling, but I just could not put it down. Once I started reading it, I stayed with that book for the entire 3 days it took to read it. I took breaks because at the time I wasn't used to the reading, so my eyes were kind of tired. But after that, I did not put it down. I asked my mom, dinner table, sitting down in the living room, even just listening to the TV with her, I was in that book. She would have to call my name 2-3 times to even get my attention. And then as soon as I finished that one, I immediately went to Barnes & Nobles and picked up the next one. Made the mistake of only picking up one book, finished that book in 24 hours, and immediately went back to the store and picked up more books. So yeah, and then it never stopped. As you can see behind me, you can see my shelves. J is just finished, and at this point in time, I just finished Catwoman's Soul Stealer. And I will talk about that more in my wrap-up. I'm not sure if this video is going to go up before or after my wrap-up, so depending on which one it goes, I will link it in the description below. If it's before, I will link it below. If not, then it'll probably be the next video I post after this one. K are the kinds of books you won't read. I can't honestly say there are any books that I just would not read. Maybe those who have an anti-feminist theme, because I like a good amount of feminism in my books. Like those that have just men just putting the women down and they just stay down because it's how they believe they're meant to be. Those are the kind of books I probably will not read. But as of yet, I have not come across one of those books yet. Actually, no, I think I have come across one once, and I DNF'd it pretty early on, and I can't even remember the title of it. At this point in time, the longest book I've read is Empire of Storms by Sarah J Maas, though her next book is coming out soon, and that one is 1,008 pages. So when I get that one will be the longest one I've read. But at this point in time, this is the longest book I've read at, I believe, like almost 700 pages, like 690 some, I'd say. Yep, 690 pages, exactly. M is major book hangover, and that would have to definitely be A Court of Mist and Fury. This was I was obsessed with this book after I read it. I even went so far as to look up a few fan fictions. They didn't do it justice, and so I just couldn't read them. Although now I've read a few and they were pretty good, but those 3 that I tried after finishing this, they were just no. Absolutely not. Which I should have known better than to try and look up fan fiction immediately after reading this one. I don't know why I did it. It was a stupid idea, but this book gave me major book hangover. I think it was a few months before I picked up another book or gave a book a good rating after this. And is number of bookcases you own. I actually own 4, even though you can only see 2 of them. This is a red shelf. This is a red shelf. The lower part of this shelf though, like starting right here, that's TBR books going down, and as I take the books off, I fill them up with red books. And then I have 2 more TBR shelves I used to have them in my back room, but now they're actually stored in the garage because we had to lend out the back room for another reason. So they're actually in 2 humongous boxes that are like literally right here, like this right here. I'm touching the top of the box. They are in 2 humongous boxes stacked right here. So I don't have to go very far when I want to look for another box, although I do have to dig through them if I want to look for a specific book. O is one book that you've read multiple times. And I'm going to go with Air of Fire by Sarah J Maas. When I started reading the series, this book was already out, and then Queen of Shadows came out not long after I finished this one. And then when the next book was to come out, I reread the entire series again to prepare for the next book. And now that the next book after that is coming out, I'm rereading the entire series again. So in total, I've read this book 3 times. But that does not include the times I've gone back to reread my favorite parts. If I were to count those times, this would probably be the 7th time. But from cover to cover, this is the 3rd time. P is preferred place to read, and that is usually on my comfy couch in my living room, but only when no one else is home. Otherwise, I just can't concentrate because they'll be walking through talking, or if it's my grandmother, she'll be walking through the house playing an audiobook, and I'm like, could you please just pause it till you pass me? Because it's only like 30 seconds from your room to the garage where she goes to listen to her audiobooks and smoke sometimes. It's like 30 seconds. Just pause it while you go through, please. Especially if it's a book I have not read yet that I know I want to read, and I hear something that pretty much spoils the entire book for me. It just drives me nuts. So I have to make sure there's no one else home. Occasionally I will read on the patio, but my main place to read is my bed. Q is quotes that give you all the feels, and I could go with pretty much any Sarah J Maas book for that. So, but especially Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, and A Court of Mist and Fury. Those 3 books especially, but all her books have certain quotes that give me certain feels. R is reading regrets, a book you regret reading, I'm assuming. So, I probably don't have any of these anymore. Okay, so like I said, I just looked at my shelf and like I said, I don't have any of these regrets anymore. But I would have to say probably one book that comes to mind is The Princess Diaries. I decided to finally, after years, give the series a chance because I love the movies, and it just, no. Mia was so whiny and immature, and it was just like, no. I probably would prefer the later books, like as she gets older, but that first book just made me not want to read any of the series at all because I don't want to have to push through the 5 first books just to get to the last 5. I can't. So that is one reader regret. S is series that you need to finish, but all the books must be out in this series. I don't think I have one of those, except for maybe, well, the Throne of Glass series, but the last book has not come out yet, and I'm caught up to that series so far. So give me a second. Okay, so I'm going to go with the Goddess series by PC Cast, but also the Half-Blood series, which is actually on my immediate TBR shelf over by my bed. I have 2, the shelf and over by the bed. So those 2 series I need to catch up on because they are both completed. I think this has been complete for like 2 years, and that's been complete for about a year. Not quite sure though. So yeah, these two series I need to catch up on. The three of your all-time favorite books, and I'm going to go with these three. Akamath, Queen of Shadows, and Fifth Grave Past the Light. Though this one could change, but it's just one of my favorites right now. They kind of change, alternate, but Sarah J Maas always seems to be in the mix. Always. You is Unapologetic Fangirl, a series you will not apologizing for being a fan of. And I'm going to go with Witches of East End by Melissa De La Cruz. I know this is not, the TV series wasn't that popular, and I know the books aren't that popular either, but I really love them. V is very excited for what new release, and I'm going to go with Kingdom of Ashes, of course. It is the final book in the Throne of Glass series, so I'm both terrified and excited to read it, and it's gonna kill us. I know it's going to kill us. W's worst bookish habit. I can't honestly say I have one. At least nothing bad. I don't fold down my pages. I try to keep my books as neat as possible. I know some people write in their books because to those people all right, but I like keeping mine neat because you never know what day in the future you might actually want to get rid of them, and that next person may not want to see all your notes. So you never know. But I don't think I have any bookish habits. Maybe putting paperbacks in my purse because they usually end up getting kind of bent up in there, but I haven't done that in a while. Because I don't really have that many paperbacks, and I try to leave my paperbacks at home and take my hardbacks outside because there's less likely a chance of it being ruined. But I can't say there's a bookish habit that I have a bad habit of. Maybe sitting glasses of water on top of certain books. Like if I put a book to the side because I'm just not feeling it at the moment, but I do want to continue it. Sometimes I'll sit like a glass of water on top of it, and very rarely, but sometimes it'll get like that water ring. But that's probably about it. X marks the spot. Start at the top left of your shelf. Count 27 books. What book is it? And that is Twilight by Stephenie Meyer. It's definitely not the 27th book I read. I think this was, I honestly don't know. But I know that when I finally actually got a shelf, because it used to be I would just kind of stack them in the corner. And when I finally actually got my shelf, I tried to keep them like level with each other. But of course, with this shelf, it didn't stick, especially with this one. They're somewhat level, and I tried to keep them as level as possible. Didn't stay that way, especially for later shelves, as you can see, because some are shorter, some are taller, some are kind of medium height, so it didn't stick. But yeah, but this was the 27th book on my shelf. Why your latest book purchase, and that was actually on Book Outlet. I ordered a few books. I think I ordered 11 of them. And then I went to the used bookstore the other day and I bought a few more books. So you'll see a haul of that pretty soon, maybe within like the next few weeks or so. So when I do get that up, if you want to see it, I will try to remember to link it below. If not, just go to my channel and you'll be able to find it, I'm sure. But if I were to go with what was my last single book purchase, I don't know. Maybe The Princess Bride. Oh no, I think I bought 2 books that day. Maybe it was 1 book. I don't know. But the last book I can completely 100% remember in my mind. Oh, I know what it was. Okay, in my library they have this little corner of books they have for sale. They're for like 50 cents, $1, though now they have 2 hardbacks for 50 cents. And so when I was there, I bought this book. I couldn't find another book for it, so it means this one only cost me 25 cents. And that is The Reluctant Queen by Sarah Beth Durst. I actually thought this was the first book in the series, but that's actually the Blood Queen, I want to say. And I actually did buy that on Book Outlet the other day, but this is the last single book I can remember buying. And Z is the last book that kept you up way too late. That's a lot of books, especially Sarah J Maas books. Although Catwoman didn't keep me up as late as her books normally do. I stayed up, I'm usually like up late anyway, but like stayed up way past my bedtime to where I'm bleary-eyed. So I'm going to go with Mask of Shadows by Lindsay Miller. This one did keep me up later than, not as late as some Sarah J Maas books, but pretty late for still a book. Because usually just before I went to sleep, it would be like one of the assassinating moments, and I would be wanting to see what was going to happen. Would it work? Would it not work? What would be the consequences of this? What is going to happen? So probably this one, Mask of Shadows by Lindsay Miller, and the second book just came out and I'm so excited to read it. And that is the A to Z book tag, and if you would like to do this tag, I tag you. I will see you guys next time.